UNC plays the second worst team in the ACC tonight. That's looking at standings. But let's be real. It's a tune-up game for Duke on Saturday. Should we sit here and spend 6 minutes on what North Carolina has to do to beat Georgia Tech? I don't think so. Right, I think in a lot of ways they don't have to bring even like their B+ game to beat Georgia Tech.
It's pretty simple. Man for man, we're better than them. Go be it.
Yeah, go beat your guy.
Got it.
And I don't say that to be disrespectful to Georgia Tech. I say that to say when you play when you're the top team, when you're the top dog, right? When you are the number one team in the ACC, your challenge is making sure you stay locked in, making sure you show up, making sure you don't think about the game exactly how I just described it, which is your challenge. That's your burden to bear. But also, when you believe in your good breaks, right? Believe in the fortuitous bounces that come your way. On a Tuesday before you play Duke on Saturday in a top 10 in the country matchup, you have a game that you can use to, for lack of a better term, get right even though you weren't getting wrong, right? It's a get right game even though you don't have much to get right from because you've been playing well. Georgia Tech, I mean, we can talk about their resume, right? They beat Duke back on December 2nd, and they beat Clemson in overtime. That's it for their ACC triumphs. They got smacked by Virginia Tech. They got handled by Pitt. They lost by 9 to UVA. Again, closer than you think at Duke. So, if you take away the Duke games, Georgia Tech's got a big problem. They lost to Notre Dame. They lost to Boston College. We can run through them all. It's not an impressive resume in conference.
By far.
But here's where I think it gets interesting, and here's where if I'm UNC, I might think, ooh, we could use this to our advantage. Georgia Tech's best big man is a freshman, Ndongo. He is 6'9". They don't really have anyone else that they give big minutes to or expect big production from that's taller than that. A freshman who is 6 feet 9 inches tall. They have some strength on the perimeter. They have a couple of guys that can give you, in the teens, and if they get hot shooting, can do some things. But down low is where they are vulnerable. Could this be a game that Armando Bacot wakes up? And I'm talking about wakes up scoring the basketball. Because he's, last I checked, and unless it's changed over the last day or two, he's leading the ACC in rebounding. Right?
Yep, in rebounds per game in conference play, Harrison Ingram is leading.
Well, no, I'm saying I think Armando Bacot
overall
games,
for the season, yes. Sorry.
So Bacot, it's not like he's being unproductive, but what I am saying is he has not had that game where everybody goes, "Oh my goodness, Armando Bacot," and you wonder how that makes teams kind of prepare for him. Right? You wonder how that makes teams prepare for UNC when they don't watch film and see the terrifying Armando Bacot of two years ago. Would it shake things up if Armando Bacot has a big game tonight against Georgia Tech, knowing that, a fifth-year senior with all of his accolades and production should be looking at a team whose best big guy is a freshman and to use a term from Shaquille O'Neal, should be thinking barbecue chicken. Should be salivating, should be getting ready to cook and eat. So I kind of have two questions about this one. Could this be a game that Armando Bacot wakes up scoring the basketball? And then the second question is, does it need to be a game that Armando Bacot wakes up scoring the basketball? Right? Because I said it earlier. I said it last week that I'm softening on my stance that to achieve big and lofty goals, UNC needs Bacot to be like an All-American, All-ACC top guy performer. At the beginning of the year, I did kind of think they needed him to be one of the best college basketball players in the country, but with the way R.J. Davis has emerged and been consistent, and the way Harrison Ingram has filled in the holes elsewhere, I'm softening on my stance that Armando Bacot has to be a superhero for them to achieve big and lofty goals. I still think it's easier if he does, right? I still think it's easier if he puts together a couple wow performances that we know live within his ability somewhere. I still think it helps. but I'm not sure it needs to. But what I would also say is you don't have to telegraph that to your opponents, right? If a couple times against Georgia Tech because it's there and it's available and quite frankly it's easier against them than others, if you want to put together a big game, then at least you make the other team prepare for the possibility.
You still have to respect the threat.
Exactly.
But the threat has to continue to be there.
If you're Duke, you might be thinking like, all right, we'll just put flip on them. But as soon as you see a couple of Armando Bacot big performances or maybe one tonight, you're thinking like, all right, we can put flip on him, but, hey, let's have Mitchell ready and let's have Sean Stewart ready and let's have Ryan Young ready and what are we going to do if he gets in foul trouble? And you just put more and more and more on their plate to prepare for. And I know that was very basic stuff. Like It's not like Shire doesn't have a plan if Filipowski gets hurt otherwise or gets in foul trouble otherwise, but it gets more detail. I'm just not going to get into the details because that would get monotonous. I could read a telephone book too, but I won't do that. This is a situation where, why not, right? It's like, why not run the halfback pass as a football team against an FCS opponent early in the season, right? You probably don't need the halfback pass to win that game. But do you know what you do it for? You do it so every team you play from that point forward has to take 4 minutes in a walkthrough period later in the season and say, hey, just so you know, they have a halfback pass. This is how they lined up in it last time. And that's it. That's 4 minutes they're working on that they're not working on something else.
Something else they have to think about.
So, like, guess what? You're not going to – even though R.J. Davis at this point hasn't really been able to be stopped, right? He's putting up 20-plus pretty consistently. You're not going to surprise other teams with R.J. Davis. Not this year. You could surprise them with Armando Bacot for 30, right? No one's preparing for that because we haven't seen anything near it. And it's in there. Like, it's possible. He's still Armando Bacot. So maybe they use Georgia Tech and their lack of experience and lack of production down low as a get-right game for Armando, who hasn't, like, I don't want to say he's been, like, all wrong. He's not completely misaligned. He's still rebounding. He has some big games defensively. He's still playing big minutes. We just haven't seen that one big pop game yet that I'm looking for from him in the ACC.